for Father Greg. Oh, I forgot to put it on our thing. It's beginning shortly.
Uh-oh.
Oh, UFOs. That's right. Okay.
Uh-oh. Are you plotting over there? It's hump day! Hump day! Humpity hump hump. Good morning, everyone. Well, that must be our cue.
It's almost there.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning. How's everybody doing?
Happy hump day, as someone mentioned. It is Wednesday here, so let's get our
Day.
banner going.
Hump day. Hump day.
All right, well, welcome
See.
everyone to
Good
the
morning.
Fireside Chat for Wednesday, April 29th. Glad to have you aboard. Thanks for joining. Thanks for spending your morning here with us. Thanks, Kathy. Looking forward to see. I always look forward to that as well. We also welcome Father Greg here with us from the Being with God program.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he'll have beautiful insights to share with us as he normally does, right?
Has he so far? He normally just kind of sits there.
Well, that's true.
Uh-huh.
I think I'm gonna say something, but I don't know what. I don't know exactly what to do with this guy yet, but
I don't know.
yeah. But it's good to have Greg on a stick. So
Mm-hmm. Maybe we should turn down the music a little bit.
sure. Sometimes it gets a little
Mm-hmm.
much with that French horn. today, before we forget to mention, we got this a big old bag. We got City of Fountains of Wayne here. Actually, it's just City of Fountains by the Roastery.
Mm-hmm.
I will go over to the O'Camerer.
Ooh, right.
So here is the City of Fountains blend, and we from the Roastery, and we'd also like to thank Terry Rotes, who just brought this by randomly. These are actual beans too, and so that's what we're drinking today, and it's quite delicious. So here's City of Fountains blend. Thanks, Terry Rotes,
Thank you
for
very much.
bringing that by.
Mhm.
I also this morning I had bran flake. Is this not the most boring box you've
It
ever
looks
seen?
like something you get out of Soviet Russia in about 1977. In Soviet Russia,
Bran flakes.
bran flakes eat you,
Bran-
as they say. Bran flakes.
So anyway, I had some bran flakes this morning. I guess that was smart. So anyway,
You
there's
may get 1 box of bran flakes every month for one whole family. Do not take 2 or else we get you.
And while I'm here at the O'Camerer, hello there, Rachel. Hello, Rosalie. Hello, Laura. I hope you're having a great day, and it's good to see you here back at the Fireside Chat. And hello, Dryling Girls, as well. Nice to... I hope that you're there. You were there yesterday, so hello there, Dryling Girls. If anyone else needs a shout-out, just let me know. I'll pull you up on the O'Camerer. Let's go back to the main camera. So... very good. So that's not the
You know, I have to say,
camera. You do have to say. What do you have to say?
you never say hi to me on camera.
Hello there, Father Ashmore. How are you doing today? How is your day going?
It's a mediocre.
Your eyeballs did not get as big as Rachel's when I said hello to her. So
So it's all about the response you get, eh?
it is.
Mhm.
It is. It's all
no
about
actual
the
care about
response.
me.
That's correct.
It's a painful life I live.
Very good.
Just the picture, just a tad bit.
Sure. Yeah, because we might be just a hair dark, huh? Yeah. All right. So, welcome. So a couple birthdays are coming up. My mom's birthday is tomorrow.
Really?
It is.
Marilyn, happy birthday.
Yeah,
almost.
tomorrow is my mom's birthday. I guess it's kind of a running joke that my dad always thought my mom's birthday was on April 31st.
Okay.
I don't know exactly how that began, but it's possible that my dad forgot my mom's birthday and said, "Oh no, I thought it was the 31st of April," which is a funny joke. I think my dad was a funny fellow because obviously there's not 31 days in April, so anyway, it could not have possibly been April 31st. And someone else has a birthday. This guy next week, next Tuesday, right?
Is that
Cinco de
is that
Mayo.
May
Revenge
5th?
of the
Yes.
5th is
birthday?
Father Ashmore's birthday. So next Tuesday for the Fireside Chat, we should do something.
We don't need to.
We should.
We'll see.
We could do it like a driveway chat and have
Driveway
people drive by and say hi and happy birthday.
No, it's okay.
Well, I think
We're
that'd be
okay.
fun. I don't know. First birthday as a priest. I mean, this is the birthday you get your driver's license, right?
Yes, actually. I have to learn how to drive first. So. My parents are going to take me out this afternoon. Right, Dad?
Very good. So my mom's birthday is tomorrow, and then don't forget Father Ashmore. See, that's my job. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to care for my associate here and make sure that he gets all the birthday love that he should get on, especially as a first birthday as a priest. That's kind of a big deal. So
I suppose it is, yeah.
So anyway, his birthday is next Tuesday. So, and then we saw that's probably Karen who's mentioning that. We saw the notice regarding the collection of food. Can you please elaborate on that? Can you elaborate on that?
I don't know too much about it. I talked to Rafa, who's one of our parishioners, and apparently on Monday he had talked to Father Greg and gotten permission to have a collection for Father Daniel Coronado's parish. From what I hear, they're really low on supplies down there, considering the situation with the COVID-19 and also unemployment in the region. A lot of their parishioners are employed at the Tyson Food Factory there and other such industrial places. And so because of the current restrictions and stay-at-home order, a lot of people are lacking financial means at this point. And so apparently they got permission on Monday to have this collection, and they asked me to put it on the
you know,
website.
if anyone ever asks me, hey, can we do a collection? I'm generally all on board. So if someone, I mean, I'm not going to organize it, but if someone wants to say, hey, I want to take up a collection for this good cause, you organize it, you got my blessing. So that's happening tonight. What time?
From 4 to 7, Rafa will be there, and I don't know if anybody else will be there. But he's just taking food and other supplies down to Emporia so that St. Catherine's especially, and I think St. John's too. That's what
St. John?
I said in the email St. John's, which I was confused by.
I don't know.
I didn't know what that was. So,
I'm not sure.
But St. Catherine's is the most important one.
Right.
St. Catherine's, so that they can have some supplies to give to their parishioners and assist the community down there.
Yep.
So I just updated the website with the information, so I don't know too much about it. But,
Okay. Yep, and I don't know too much about it either, but so they're having that collection. We're also talking about the possibility. It was suggested to me. We're looking for a Archbishop wants all the parishes to have a twinning relationship with all parishes. We have been talking about Christ the King in Kansas City, Kansas, but we haven't made any made great process in that. I talked to Father Blaha over there about that, but then the COVID hit. But St. Catherine's might be a good twinning opportunity too, because we have that relationship there with Father Dan, and so that could be a natural fit too. So I'm open to opinions on that matter. I think the Archbishop wants every parish to be twinned by Advent of this year. So both of those options seem like good to me, and I'm open to more discussion about that.
Certainly.
So, and then Karen has a funny story. Oh my goodness, it's a funny and it's a Seymour story.
Seymour?
Well, it was so big. The text was so big. I had to click to see more. Moved from Michigan to Texas. Began at Good Shepherd. I was connected to you last weekend. I mentioned that as an
Huh. Oh, well, thanks so much for joining us from Texas. We appreciate that.
Well, thanks so much.
We're becoming a non-territorial parish right here.
That's right.
If Father Sean is watching, he'd be shaking his head.
Well, I think he was here. So
Was he?
yeah, I thought I saw him. But yes. So well, welcome from Texas. We're glad to have you here, and maybe someday we'll see you in the reels.
Right.
So welcome, and welcome everyone who's watching over on the tube. We got a good number over there as well.
So Father Kent, have you heard the big news?
Do tell.
He hasn't heard the big news. I haven't told him yet.
Is it somehow related to birds not being real?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. This is the Pentagon recently released 3 different videos of UFO sightings.
The Pentagon?
Pentagon, taken by Navy pilots.
Really?
Yeah, so everyone looked this up online. It's very fascinating. There are these 3 strange videos taken in, like, one in 2004, another in another year, I don't remember, another one at some other point, as things happen. They happen in time. But they have recently released these videos because there is an online conspiracy about them, because they were unidentified flying objects. There were some kind of objects in the sky that the Navy pilots caught onto and tracked, and nobody can figure out what they were.
Okay.
And for the last 10 years has been a question about, are these videos real? Right? And the Pentagon released them this week,
saying
that these videos are real and we don't know what they are.
Oh, so they really are unidentified flying objects.
Right.
Yes.
So,
but they might not be from another planet. They're just unidentified.
Well,
it could be a rock.
Rocks don't generally move at 1.2 Mach.
Oh, they're moving fast.
They're moving very fast.
Oh,
yeah.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, the debate is whether or not they're an artifact coming through with the camera, because depending on how light enters into the camera, you can get certain artifacts. Like we were talking we were talking about the Triduum in particular. Some people were complaining about how dark it was at one point during the Triduum Mass, and it was because we were magnifying. Essentially, we were zooming in at that point, and less light was able to be refracted through the scope, essentially. So, cameras and lighting is sometimes weird. But if you go online, you can watch these videos, and The pilots are going crazy, and I think the History Channel is going to be going crazy all over these things too. Because the History Channel's two favorite things to talk about:
War and UFOs.
no, UFOs and crazy stories about Christianity that aren't true.
Oh. Well, I guess that's true. But it's also, I sometimes joke that the History Channel should be called the War Channel, because every time I tune it on, and it's like covering World War II or Civil War or
Yeah.
World War One or whatever. All history is written through wars.
It used to do that. History Channel used to do that, but
Okay.
then they started getting on these crazy Bible theories.
Oh, I see.
So, 43 secrets of Genesis.
Yeah, they
And
love
then you
those things. That's true.
Exactly. Things that are just absurd.
Especially at Easter time. It seems like that's like when Time Magazine released "Who is the Real Jesus" or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's actually fascinating because a lot of times those are using really poor Christologies, obviously. So they're people who don't really understand who Christ is. They're not coming from the perspective of faith, but they're also coming from a particular lens of historical critical analysis of Christianity that has as its fundamental foundation the disproving of Christ, and so they will essentially undermine the validity of the Gospels at every step of the way throughout those things. So you got to watch out for those. If you see one of those like 17 things you never knew about Christ,
Right.
probably not true. The history is probably not good. It's probably not in line with faith. It's probably not in line with the Gospels, but
if someone said it, then it could be a possibility. That's what they kind of. But I mean, yeah, that's well, it's not exactly clickbait because you don't exactly click. It's maybe
ad bait,
ad whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it gets you in there. It's like, ooh, what should I find out? If you want to know 17 things you didn't know about Christ, I recommend looking at the Catechism. You know,
Yeah,
'cause
exactly.
You probably didn't know those things.
Exactly. There's a lot there you didn't
That
know.
should be that. We should do. That should be the name of our catechism series for Tuesday Night Live. What are 17 things you didn't know about the Catholic faith?
Exactly.
Because you probably didn't know about them.
Probably didn't know. But anyway, so I'm excited to see what the History Channel is going to do with those UFO videos.
Yes, me too.
You haven't seen these UFO videos? They're
no.
actually kind of fascinating looking. I saw one analysis of them in which the guy was analyzing the background to see whether or not the artifact moved with the background. Because if the artifact moved with the background, you knew that it was a camera artifact. However, if it didn't move with the background, it wouldn't. This person was claiming it was a camera artifact.
Well, I hope it's aliens because I'm ready. I'm ready.
Mhm.
Let's move on to that phase in human existence. This
Mhm.
discovery of
You
other.
speak of it as though it's a fact. We're just going to move on to that phase.
Yes, right.
Yeah. So you're a strong believer in the aliens, I guess.
Oh, I don't know. I don't really have. No, I'm not a strong believer. I'm just.
Okay.
But I have been watching. So one of my favorite TV shows is a show called The Orville.
Okay. Yes, you were telling me about that.
Yeah, and it's really good. I mean, it's I don't know if you heard about it. It's the one with Seth MacFarlane, who is famous for The Family Guy, but people think it's a Family Guy in space, and it's not. Seth MacFarlane is a big Star Trek fan. He's a Trekkie.
Oh, okay.
And so and I enjoy like Star Trek: The Next Generation or whatever. I'll enjoy those shows, but it's a really great homage to the Star Trek shows, and people sometimes call it that is the real new Star Trek. And I was watching a YouTube video about why is it so good. There's several factors, but one is for instance the brightness of the even the way that's filmed is Star Trek was always about the optimism of the future and where we are, and part of the idea is that because you've got like a bright bridge, it wasn't really intentional to begin with, but it kind of gave that extra impetus. You had to do that so that you could see what was going on back in the early filming days, but then that became Star Trek's
It was
trademark.
It was more.
The like everything is very bright on the bridge or in the ship or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's got this kind of, when you see a show, it's like, oh, that's a Star Trek show.
Yeah, it's not gritty in any way.
It's not gritty.
Mhm.
Now, the recent Star Trek things are kind of grittier,
Mhm.
but this really is a throwback. So it's like Star Trek: The Next Generation for a 21st century audience, because it's not Star Trek. It's not at all in that world, but it kind of great callbacks and the characters are interesting. What's also interesting is and this was not expected because it's a comedy show kind of, but it's also a legit action show. And I was watching as we were watching it last night as I was like cleaning and stuff, and There's one that was really interesting because what Star Trek does really well is it asks interesting questions.
Right.
That's what I like.
That's the whole idea of science fiction. You're
Right.
taking some of the most important questions, you're applying them within a different context, so you can see them from a different lens. Right.
Right.
Mhm.
So this one episode that I was watching was about how it was. What made me think about this is they had first contact with a civilization.
Mhm.
They sent out a message. This new civilization just getting ready for space flight, and they sent out a message saying, "Is anyone out there?" And then the Orville responds. But the premise of this one, and that's what it's always interesting, is their society was based on astrology.
Oh.
And if you were born during a certain month, you were sent to the camps because you were by nature more aggressive and violent because you were born in this month. And so it just kind of just the way that kind of plays out is the way that you were born determines who you are, and there's nothing you can do about it. And so it was just interesting. So that's what that show. It's called The Orville. Anyway, if you like science fiction, it can be a little crass at times, but it's a fun show. I really enjoy it.
That's fascinating. That's an interesting concept, the whole astrology thing.
Yeah.
When I was taking astronomy in college, I loved to come into my astronomy classroom and be like, "Hello, Father Albert, I'm ready for the astrology class today," and he used to hate it.
Right. Astrology and astronomy are two different things.
Not the same thing. But in Augustine's Confessions, he has a whole chapter, maybe a whole theme essentially, about when he was exploring astrology. He was seeing it as this great arbiter of a lot of answers, and eventually he discovered that there was no truth in it whatsoever. And so it's an interesting thing, because a lot of us will be searching for, when we're first starting to ask the big questions, we like things. Human beings like things like astrology because it gives a certainty. You know, you can look at it and be like, okay, I'm a Taurus. Because I'm a Taurus, I have this, or I can look at the stars and I can figure out this is going to be my future, and it gives a certainty. But it's also entirely false.
Right.
And so to have, we really have to be careful about: are we searching for truth, or are we searching for what feels good, or that a false sense of security?
Right.
And Augustine at that point was essentially looking for a false sense of security. He was looking for truth. Astrology seemed like it was true, but eventually he realized that he wasn't attached to the truth he found there any longer, because it wasn't actually true. And a lot of times, I think a lot of people think Christianity are different, or even some of the major religions are no different than astrology. But I think we're vastly different.
Right. Well, sure.
You know, obviously. But that's one of the beautiful things about Christianity is if your form of Christianity sells you something that makes you comfortable, then it's not true Christianity.
Right.
We should, because true Christianity is challenging.
Sure.
True Christianity undermines many of your presumptions.
Right.
True Christianity challenges you to be new and to be constantly transformed by the grace of Jesus Christ. And if your Christianity just gives you, clean answers, or says, oh, if you, you can interpret the stars this way, or whatever it is, then it's not truly Christianity. That's not what Jesus Christ offered. Mm-hmm. So it's an interesting question there, astrology.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. There it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's an interesting show. It raises all kinds of interesting questions there, and it's a good response there with Augustine. So very good. We've also, while we're talking about television shows, might as well throw this up. We've been talking about this a little bit. Is we mentioned it before, but we have still been enjoying. If you're looking for something to do, throw us out what you're doing in your time as well. It's good to be doing some extra prayers and some extra reading if you have the time. Not everyone does. But also a show that I think both of us can recommend is a show called Foyle's War. We've been enjoying it. We mentioned a few episodes back, a couple weeks back, but we've watched several of them. They're about an hour and a half or so each.
Yeah, they're really a perfect length.
Yeah. So it's not quite a movie length, but a little bit longer than a television show. And so we've been enjoying doing that. Sometimes in the evening, we'll watch say, hey, do you want to watch an episode of Foyle's War? Again, it's set in the World War II, and Foyle is a detective who is solving these mysteries in the context of World War II. So it's a mystery show, but it's also kind of a history show too, because you get to see aspects of the Second World War from the English perspective that I've never thought about. Just it's really interesting. I think it's a great show, and the characters are great. And so, anything to add about Foyle's War?
Well, it's a great detective show.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very human show too. So it's not, it's not like Law and Order or anything where you, at the beginning, you see the dead body. 15 minutes in, you know that they're talking to the first suspect, but it's not going to be the first suspect. The first suspect is not going to be the one who ends up getting arrested, because the first suspect is never arrested. That's Law and Order is very formulaic. Foyle's War is not like that. Everyone, we're sitting there trying to figure it out, and we never figure it out.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty exciting, actually. It's a very well written show, well crafted. The dialogue is witty. The characters are very human, very real.
Yeah.
And it's just a really satisfying mystery show.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, we are very much enjoying it. So we started on season 3. And like the series season is like 4 episodes long, and I think season 4 I think was 2 episodes, and I think we watched one episode of season 5. So we've watched 7 episodes or something over the past couple weeks. So it's been enjoyable. So anyway, Foyle's War is a recommendation.
Sarah Jacobson is watching it.
Oh, good.
Cool.
Were you Sarah? Did we introduce that to you? Because someone had commented that you watched it and you really loved it. It is compelling, isn't it? Though
it is.
So season 6, good job. We really liked the best one that we've seen so far, I think, or one of my favorite. Well, there were 2. The 2 hospital ones. There was the one in episode 4. Was it season 4? But the first episode of season 5 was really good. Is because I stopped him and said, like, we've gone up to another level. That
was it season 4 or was it season 5?
I think it's season 5 with the sheep.
Oh,
we don't need to say anything more about that, but when the it involves sheep at the beginning of the show and a sheep falls off the truck. It's so what does that have to do?
I feel like we're giving clues right now.
No, it's just the opening of the. Oh, it's the opening of the show.
Well, I know, but it's like you're looking for clues of mystery tech. Let me tell you, the sheep fell off the truck. You know what I mean?
Good. I'm glad that you're enjoying it, Sarah. I remember that someone mentioned. So you get a 30-day free trial of Acorn through Amazon Prime. All right. So anything else? Sean the Baptist, Father Sean, is saying it's time for another episode of My Favorite Heresy.
Okay, well we can do that.
Because you gave us a teaser.
I did yesterday.
So it's time for My Favorite Heresy. All right, so take it away, Father Ashmore, for your favorite heresy of the day.
So a favorite heresy.
I'll take it to the ash cam. Are we ready for that?
Sure, whatever. A favorite heresy of mine is called nominalism.
Nominalism.
Now, nominalism is really more of a philosophical theory, and I don't know if nominalism itself has ever been condemned as a heresy, but it is a philosophical theory, and it was first really formulated by William of Ockham, although there are some philosophical antecedents for it, and he himself just planted the seeds for it and grew into a whole theory. But nominalism says that the realities in the world are only understood as we perceive them, essentially, and we can we can basically, all the realities of the world are only what they are because we name them as such. That's what nomine means, name. So there is no such thing as reality qua reality. There's no such thing as evil qua evil. There's only those things that we call evil, call good. There are only something is only good or evil because God has claimed it to be good or evil. There's something in and of itself. I see Sean the Baptist, but you'll see why I go there. You'll see why I go there and say it leads to a lot of heresies. It's a philosophical theory that doesn't that leads to a lot of problems. It essentially led to the Protestant Reformation, and Luther essentially is a reactionary to the nominalism that was present at that point, but he himself is a nominalist, and so his theology is very nominalistic. Why is that a problem?
Do tell.
Nominalism is highly related to relativism.
Okay.
So if there are no such things as reality qua reality, they're only the things that we label them as such, then something is only good if I call it good. Something is only evil if I call it evil. And the reason why we do anything is not because we are perceiving reality, taking it into ourselves, and then reacting to it. It's because God has told us to. So it becomes merely about God's commands and not about us conforming ourselves to reality.
Okay.
again, this seems very esoteric,
It does.
but it's important because
Break it down. Break it down.
break it down. So, if I don't think there's one human reality called a human, called a form, the form of human, like I don't think that there's one thing that it means to be human, then I think that everybody in the world are so completely different that we cannot understand what it means to be human.
Right.
Everybody is so distinct that there's no way that we can talk about it coherently.
So we can't do like race and class of identifying like this is a bird and this is not. This is
Exactly.
real and this is not.
It's all just what I call it. It's just all
Right.
what I name. And from that, we break down the idea of education.
Sure.
If we have a nominalistic education, there's no such thing as human, and therefore we can't really teach anybody anything in and of itself. It is all about what that particular person or that particular instantiation of humanity needs, and that's a problem because then we don't have any ideas of what all our education comes into the fact that we don't have a goal because we don't have a goal to lead people through. Every angel is their own species. That is true. That is true. But that's a different situation. But if I don't have an idea of what human beings are, then when I go to form human beings, then I'm in education. I go to help people grow. That I don't have anything to lead them to.
Right.
And so I can't say, okay, a good human does this thing. A good human thinks this well. A good human does these things well. And so when our education comes forth, we don't have a way to really guide people into becoming good human beings, because we have separated out the idea of what it means to be human from what it means from this particular person.
Right. It's self-determinism run amok in some ways because everyone determines their own reality of what I am, and there's nothing common, and that leads to, of course, disasters. I mean, some elements of self-determination are great, right?
Certainly.
And to show the variety and everything, but if it's completely, if everything is based is simply what I name this to be or what I name myself to be or whatever, then you can't have any kind of common thing to teach about this is what it means to be human.
There's no such thing as what it means to be a man.
Right.
No such thing as what it means to be a woman. Those are things we just name.
Right.
So it leads to that,
Right. Sure.
which is a problem.
Sure.
There's no such thing as what it means to be an adult or a child. This is what I just call it. There's no such thing as God necessarily. God is just a thing that I name.
Right.
So God is basically my desire to know all things or something absurd like that. Could become that way.
There's no such thing as peace. There's no such thing as justice. None of those things exist. It's just whatever we call them. So, and then you get into, I mean, it's also individualism run amok, right? Because it's like whatever I say, my reality is my reality. Your reality is your reality.
And then it comes to relativism.
Right.
It leads directly to relativism, and relativism is the belief that basically everything is relative to the individual person. So whatever I believe or I perceive to be true is true, and whatever you perceive to be true is true.
Right.
And if they're in contradiction to each other, it doesn't matter, because it's all relative to me or relative to you.
You do you be you. You have your truth. I have my truth. Nope. There's nothing beyond that.
Exactly.
Which is, absolutely not what the church teaches. But I mean, but then the Catholic response, I mean, is beautiful. Like especially when we talk about the moral law, there's objective good and evil, and there's the subjective response. So that it does take into account, the Catholic teaching does take into account the person and the identity of a person, which every person is unique and different, right? That's different than relativism, which says there is nothing objective. It's everything is right here in my individual, my relativeness, and that's all that matters. But Catholic says, yes, the person is unique and important, but there's also an objective level of truth.
Right.
So.
One of the hardest problems that we have today in the society is that we are a society of relativists, and that is caused by a society of nominalism, because there's no idea of something being real. Everything is merely my perception. And when you're trying to talk about faith, then people would be like, well, no, that's just true for you. Like, no. Relativism makes no sense. But people live in this world where their mind is basically trying to hold these two totally contradictory ideas together. And they have to go through mental hoops to make that work, but they will. So the best way to undermine relativism, to try to show somebody that truth is truth and you can't have two truths being contradictory, truths are not different for everybody, is to throw a shoe at them or something like that. Stand there, throw a shoe at them and have them duck and be like, why'd you duck? And they'll be like, what? It's like, well, if you're a true relativist, you could say, that shoe isn't coming at me.
Right.
Because I don't perceive it to be coming at me, or I do perceive it, but I'm going to say it's not. Because my truth is different than your truth. No, everybody ducks if you throw a shoe at them. Because there's something real in the world. Now, this all sounds esoteric, but it comes to really, really important realities in our world. So one of the main arguments for abortion or other situations are, well, I can't force my truth on that person.
Mm-hmm.
Because my truth is in contradiction to their truth. Either it's wrong or it's not.
Right.
You know what I mean? That doesn't mean that
slavery, racism, take your pick, whatever.
It's either it's wrong or it's not.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And you can't just say that, oh, we're all okay, because everybody has their own individual truth.
Right.
Either the shoe's coming at your forehead or it's not.
Right.
Either when you walk out into the street, a car is going to hit you, or it's not. You can't just walk out there and be like, because of my relativistic ideas, I say to the car, you are not here. You know what's going to happen?
That's exactly how you say it, I think.
Splat. That's what's going to happen. And it's going to come to... yeah, and Bonnie says, and that is why some people have to be hit in the head with a shoe many times before they face reality.
So, just to clarify, we are not endorsing throwing shoes at people.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so yes, it's a great heresy.
Mm-hmm. So it's not technically heresy. It's a philosophical theory that leads to any problems.
I see. Yeah.
But it's a fascinating topic.
I think so. Yeah.
So nominalism, the idea that there are no such things as universals, technically is how it's defined, which means that there's no one common concept of what it means to be anything. It's only what we call it, and that leads to relativism, which believes that all truth is relative to the individual who's perceiving the truth. Well, it's actually, no, I'm sorry. All truth is... You see, I speak as a realist, so when I say who's perceiving the truth, they wouldn't even say that. It would be all truth is relative to the individual person, period. And both of those are wrong. There is truth that we can perceive, and we can perceive common things together.
Right.
If we couldn't do those two things, we couldn't even have a conversation. Language itself would be incomprehensible. Because you could be perceiving a different truth than what I'm even saying.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But again, still, we do honor that the perspective of the other person too, because that is something that is, just because I said it does not make that true then, because how that is said is also received by a different thing. And so that you take that into account as well. There is what was said, what was heard, and what is the truth in between.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. I think it's important to recognize when we're having these conversations, some people could have the tendency to get a little offended, like, well, some people believe this, how can you be so harsh? And it's like, well, it's true, but if we're not harsh on ideas, what's that?
I'm laughing at Javine. Throw up a force field.
If we're not, I had an interesting thought there. I'm sorry, I lost it.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I got distracted.
I got distracted too. Anyways, I'm not sure.
Okay, sorry about that.
It's okay.
When we're having a reality. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, anything else that's...
I remember what it was.
Go for
it. So, one of the problems with relativism is that if something is only true because I believe it, then anything becomes a personal attack. So if I say to somebody that idea is not true, they hear, because it's their relativist probably,
Mhm.
you're not true.
Mm.
Because it's all about how they're perceiving or their reality.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really hard to have conversations at times, because it's always being reflected on their person. I am this reality that I've determined for myself.
Mm.
So if I say something like, well, relativism isn't true, that becomes a personal attack.
Right.
And so we have to respect that, but also we have to we can't play by that game,
Mm-hmm.
because then we can never actually have a discussion.
Sure.
So it may sound harsh, and I'm like, well, okay, all these people are relativists, all these people are nominalists. I'm not being harsh on the people. I'm being harsh on the concepts, because the concepts are enslaving them.
It's good.
If that makes sense.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
Good. I'm glad that you remembered that thought.
Yep, there we go.
Very good. So what else are you? I did not see the PBS show on Inside the Vatican. I hadn't even heard of it. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was any good. I think Marilyn mentioned that. I know nothing about that. Let's see here. Anything else here from the? Yes, and then over on the tube, it was mentioned that birds aren't real, but UFOs are. What?
Oh, I don't know if UFOs are real. I don't think UFOs are real at all. I was,
Probably questioning me
Yeah.
there. So very good. Anything else that you're working on? Any other things of interest that you got going on? Let us know.
yeah.
I was requested to maybe sing a song, so
Oh, okay.
I could do a song here if people want that. I think Lori requested that yesterday. But is there anything else going on? Any other things that you're working on? Any other questions that you might have? I think I sometimes have missed the questions. And let's see here. Who mentioned Molly? You had a question like a couple days ago, and I said, "Hey, I'm sorry I missed your question." And but if you want to bring that question again, because I forget now what it was. It was from I think Monday that you asked the question. I don't remember what it was. Trying to see if there's any other.
What does that
other
say there?
questions
Is it
here?
on? Oh, no.
I don't see anything there. But yeah, I think that's about it. Does anybody else have anything else?
I don't know anything else today.
All right.
We talked about my topic of the day. So
That's very good. Do you have any poetry you'd like to read?
I don't, not today.
No poetry today.
No poetry.
We did get you over on the ash cam, so
It's
that's
true,
good.
yeah, mhm.
So,
We
all
can't
right.
use it all up in one shot.
Well, very good. Well, I think that's all we got for today. So, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. So don't forget Father Ashmore's birthday on Tuesday, and then we have the Rosary today at 5 o'clock. So we'll be back on the chat tomorrow at 10 a.m. So we will see you then. Thanks for
Sounds
tuning
good.
in.
Thank you all very much. God bless you.
All right. Bye.